Yeah, room is already really packed. It's good. So hi and welcome to my talk about how to pimp your user interface. It's all about animation, transitions, and stuff like that, effects a bit. My name is Johannes Zellner. I'm a professional service engineer. I'm in the Munich office. I'm with Nokia since 2.5 years, around that, coming from university. Actually, I was coming from GTK space, but then I tried Qt, so I was immediately impressed. So since then, I never touched GTK again. And now we even have Qt Quick, where we can do lots of cool stuff as well. My team in Munich, we used to do customer support, but now that's off to Digia. So now we focus on making Qt a success on non-Nokia devices. It means porting Qt to other platforms, other devices, and try to make make Qt performing very well on those boards to fit the needs. Coming to the agenda, it's straightforward. After the introduction, I will go into details about animations, what we offer in Qt Quick, what we have there, and then I'll give very small outlook on the future, what animations there will be and what cool stuff you can do there. If you have any questions in between, just raise your hand. And also, we will have some live coding. So if I'm going too fast, tell me. Just interrupt me, and I will stop and explain if something is not very clear for you. So the goal for the session is basically, the session itself focuses on 4.8 or 4.7.4. For Qt Quick 1.1, basically. I don't target any Qt 5 scene graph specific stuff, as I want to show you what is possible right now, what you can do at the moment. After the talk, you should be able to know how the animations are working in Qt Quick, what we offer you, and how you can use them, and where are the places you can actually trigger animations and stuff like that. Any questions on the goal or on the agenda? It's like, no. So first of all, if you want to pimp your user interface, you need very nice images. So I don't know how many other designers in there? No? Maybe? Graphical assets. It's not only about images, but you also need a designer, like a motion designer for the animations. It's really nice for us as developers to add animations, cool easing curves, but at the end, for a nice user interface, you need a motion designer that tells you, okay, this easing curve needs to be a bit different, or the duration might change there. And for this, we recommend actually to have a designer and a developer right next to each other. So join forces, work on QML, developer and designer, and the designer can immediately tell you, oh, can you try this? And you just type in and try. That's what I also want to show during the talk. That's very easy to insert animations. And yeah. So coming to animations now. Yeah, there is a slide animation, a very easy one. You saw it already. And the animations in Qt Quick, they are more or less always going on properties. Yeah, they're always going on properties. So we have special animations for special types of properties, but it's only about animate the property value itself. You can group the animations, like you can have sequential animations and parallel animations. So you can do nice effects there by just grouping them. And to trigger the animations, we offer a behavior on a value. So whenever a value changes, a property changes, you can start the animation. You can also trigger animations during transitions of states. And you can just type animations given an ID and do stop, restart, start, pause, like this. So that's the ways we actually offer. So as I said, all animations are just animating properties. But what I would like to show you here is some use cases that hopefully will enable you then to just play around and just think of which properties you can animate to have nice effects like this. So coming to a fading example here, the slide transition already is fading and scaling. You saw that? So this. The demo I've prepared here is basically, I have an image, and or this screen has two states. Whenever I click on the sun, I change to night mode. So very simple thing. Whenever I click. So what would be nice is to have now, if I click, fade this out, change the image, fade in again. I'm going back to the code editor. Please tell me if you cannot read something. Should I increase the font size? Okay. So this is the whole example you just saw. So it's basically the main item itself, and there's an image inserted. The image has a specific source, which is a PNG. It's the sun in this case. And I also have a mouse area inside here. And whenever I click, I just switch the state on the root item. And the default state, like the empty name state, is always the default, the set of properties you already defined. So each item has already one state. And additionally, I added the night state here with a property change on the target image. And I just changed the source. So when I click, I do a state change. So if here, if the root state, in this case, if it's empty, I'll switch to night, and otherwise to the empty one. Good. Any questions on this example? Good. So now we add a state transition here. So we do a transitions. This is actually an array. If you just have one, what we have now, you don't need the brackets there. So I add another transition. From and to state, I just ignore. I always want to have it running. And in here, I will run animations, like a number animation using the target, which is the image. And I want to animate the opacity property. And it should go to 0, and afterwards it should go to 1 again. And you remember the grouping we had? So right now it would run in parallel. I just want to have it sequential, so so I do a sequential animation on it, and format it a bit nicer, like this. And I just go back to my presentation, reload the QML file in here, and well, you see, it does something. So there is some fading going on. But if you take a quick look, it's just, if I click, it immediately will swap the image and then run the transition. Or it will be more or less in parallel, but the animation takes time, so you just see fading out the old image, the new image. So what you can do is to control when some values are set. And there we have a property action for this. And I say again, the target is the image, and the property is the source in this case. So this means we are running the transition. This is a sequential animation group. I fade the image out, then set the actual property, swap the image, and then fade in again. Save this. Reload in here, and you see it's fading out. And then looks much nicer now, I think at least. So, and now we just add another scaling here, because it's scaling and fading. And this is exactly the same procedure. So I will add a parallel animation here. And the property now is like the scale. And the scale should go like up to 10, something like that. Just copy this. To change the opacity again, 0, and it should go to 3, because the initial one, I just scaled it to 3, so it's a bit bigger on the presentation itself. Save again, go back to presentation, reload. Oh, so I click on it, and you see it goes like that. And that's the same effect I use for the slide transition here. Same thing, different easing curves, different duration, different property values I animate here. Questions on this? Okay. So we also have rotation animation. Rotation can be done on all 3 axes. I show here just the simple one. This is on the Z-axis. Afterwards, we will see an animation on a complex rotation. So again, as an example, if you click, it just rotates the spin wheel. Not very nice. So let's add an animation to have it like real running. Just open the rotation demo. This is the full demo here. It's an image, it's a pinwheel. It has here a rotation that actually is bound to the root property, which is an int property here. Default value is 0. And the mouse area, whenever I click on it, I just add 300. So you saw before animation triggered by state changes. Now we use a behavior. So I don't care who changed the rotation. I just want to have the animation running whenever a rotation changes. So like this. And I do a rotation animation in this case. It's also on an integer value, but it knows like the directions where to go. In this case, it actually wouldn't matter because it's always the same direction. It's always going in this. And here I do, if you just enter the default values, they are pretty good. So it will actually now run the animation on rotation itself. So it just picks this as the default value. The full thing would be image property is rotation. That's the full thing. And there, of course, there are defaults for duration as well. But just, yeah. I save it, go back, and there's some animation going on. Doesn't look very nice. So now the motion designer would come in, or you also can play around with that. So you like give it a bit of duration, like, I don't know, 7 seconds. And the default value is 250 milliseconds. That's why it was. So now it's, well, slow. But you know, whenever I press, I will add 300. So if I press multiple times, it actually will speed up because the duration will be always the same. This. Cool. And if it comes to an end, it immediately stops. It's not like a pinwheel would actually behave. So now we can take a look at the easing curves. Easing curve is the default one, is the linear. So this, for this I use the out at the end. I want to decelerate basically. Take the sine curve, for example. Make it like 5. Maybe we can actually see it a bit faster. So press multiple times. It still be 5 seconds after my last press, and you see it decelerates like this. Yeah. So it's behavior where you can trigger animations. Questions on the behavior itself? Okay. This is just one thing. If I speed it up very fast, it would be cool to have like a bit of a motion there, like to see, like have the same image. Actually, in Qt 5 you would do it with shaders to add some maybe motion blurring stuff. So, but you still can. It's during animations and animating some. It's always about a bit of faking and cheating. So we can here. Actually, I will create. It's the repeater. So I will create like 5 images and smooth it through because we do a rotation on it. And I do the same image scaling. So I just copy the values over there. So I create the same image of this, and I do anchors, center, and parent as well. And the rotation here is the actual image rotation. So this tracks the same thing. And as I don't want to have it fully opaque because it should be a bit of blurring effect, it's just fake, but yeah, opacity should be like 0.2. And if we would run it now, nothing has happened because it always tracks the same value. So of course, we need again a behavior on the rotation. And here I use the smooth animation because this animation actually tracks the value, and if the value will change, it won't restart. And there so it should be always a bit off of the original one. So I give it a duration that actually is, I don't know, 100 times the index we are currently in the repeater model. So as we created 5 images here, each one had this touch property index, and I can use that, so it's always a bit off of the duration of the animation.
Can you scroll it a bit?
Oh, down? Yeah. Oh, there's actually thank you. So I saved it, run again, and you will see a bit of a motion blurring. Maybe it's a fake. But now you see that if it's going slower. Okay. There is a bug in somewhere. Yeah. Okay. Maybe you have to just adjust the durations or the easing types like this. But I hope you got the idea behind that. And this is animation on the z-axis. I added animation on other axes as well, like you see now in the slide transition. So this is all, we had animations on opacity, on scaling, and on rotation. That's what the slide effect here is. Questions so far? Yep.
Only very simple one. Is there actually just a really simple question? Is there any way to enable annualizing on the transitions, like on other axes, like that axis?
So, sorry.
If you slide out the image, like in the animation you just did.
Yeah, like this.
Yes. Is there any way to do annualizing?
Yeah, I use anti-aliasing there. Yeah. If you add the smooth property and you have to set up your viewport properly.
Okay.
And you can do that.
All right. Thanks.
Welcome. Coming to another animation, which is the color animation. It's a special one because the others we saw it's on real or integer values, and now a color has like 4 values, so we have a special color animation for this. The idea behind this demo is if you move the mouse around, it will do a transition between colors, random colors in this case. I guess you already saw some color animations on the title bar. Like, yeah. So we do the same here for the objects. I'll show you how it works. The color demo. This is a grid here, spacing, and we have a repeater that creates 12 of those tiles, rectangle. Color green, and there is a mouse area inside. It is hover enabled, so we can actually track the mouse. And what we do is here on position changed. Yeah, let's make that. I will set the color to something else. And to something else means here is I want to have a color with math random, so we get random colors. Right. And the opacity is 1. Well, like this. I'll go back again, reload, and yeah, nothing happened. There's something missing. Oh yeah, of course. That is totally wrong. The color, of course. Thank you. So you go like this. Wow, this looks interesting. Actually, I think the slot is also not the correct one. It should not be on position changed, but on entered. So it won't flicker around like this. Yeah, much nicer. And the color animation is, again, done very simply by just using a behavior on color, where we actually run a color animation. Oh. Like this. Using all default values, duration is 250 milliseconds, easing curve linear. I save, go back, and you'd see there's a nice fading going on in here. Questions on the color animation? The code is like. Good, so we had fading, scaling, rotation, and color. Let's go to some layouting. It's a positioner. And there, it's again some grid thing. I have some items in there. And the idea behind that is, if I click on it, I will add something to the positioner. And the right click will just remove parts. So this looks a bit static. So what we can do is we hook into the adding and the movement of the items itself. Yep. So it's again, here you see it's a grid, that's the positioner. It has again a repeater where I assigned a list model, and in there it's just rectangles with a random color already. So same trick here. It has some size, and this actually is also not needed, I think. Let's see. Yeah. There's a mouse area in there that does the magic with the right and left click. It just appends and removes items from the model itself. And on startup, component on completed, I initialize my model here with filling in 10 of those rectangles. So positioner, if you go into the documentation, it has here, for example, an add property where you can add a transition in here. So whenever items gets added to the positioner, it will run this transition. So we can do it here by add. We have a transition, states again, don't care about. And in here I run a number animation, and the target is, well, I don't care about the target here. I just want to animate the properties X and Y, and it should go from 0, because it's the default anyway. I save this, so this transition runs whenever something is added. Yeah, so you see it immediately starting from there. It's very fast. Make it 2 seconds here. Go back again, and wow, that didn't work. Huh. Interesting. Anyone sees the issue? Did I save it? Wow. Okay. I guess I have to look up in my cheat sheet. It's actually yeah, looks exactly the same here. Okay. I hope I didn't hit any bugs. X and Y, it's the properties. Exactly the same thing. Okay, I guess you have to believe me in here. Same thing is about the transition here for the movement. Maybe this works. Then I do a number animation on properties X and Y again. So it's still buggy. Oh, thanks. Oh, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, now it works. I have no clue what it was. Sorry. But this is the add animation. It starts from the top left and animates to the correct position where it has in the positioner. And if I remove, this looks a bit strange. It has to be shaped a bit, improved, but it shows you at least, okay, when I remove, when the items itself move inside the grid, they can be animated as well. So that was the hooks into here, also using transitions to trigger animations. Good. Another thing is a list view, which is actually very nice. As you know, it's flickable by default. This is just a horizontal list view, because I thought most people will have vertical ones. So this is also possible in Qt to have it like this. And what would be nice in here, I would like to show, to animate the delegate whenever it comes into the screen, means whenever it gets created. So now you see they are created and they have all the same width. I'd like to, whenever they get created, like to have an animation on the width itself. So that's the demo here. If it's a list view, it has a model of 200. Just give me 200 delegates. Orientation, you see it's set here. And the delegate itself is again just a rectangle with an animated text in here. That's a component I did here for this. And there's a mouse area that is totally not needed. Because good. So each delegate will be created as a component whenever it comes into the visible area. We can use here component on completed. And there I want to run an animation on something. So basically my animation start, something like this. So I create an animation on my own here. I do a number animation, give it an ID, my animation. The target is the plate, which is the ID up here of the delegate. And I want to, the property I want to animate, as I said, is the height. And it should go from 0 to list, it's actually plate, list view, view height. So it's the height that it should have at the end. I give it a duration of like 2 seconds, for example, save this thing, reload here, and you immediately see the delegates are created and there is an animation going on. So if I flick here, delegates are animated. That's a boring animation, but it's just disturbing actually. But we can make it much more disturbing by changing the easing type to something like out elastic, for example. Give it like 3 seconds. Save again. Yay. See? This is fun. The animation is now triggered whenever the components are created, and so this highly depends also on the cache that you've set. The default one is just the visible area plus the current active one, which is in this case the first item, and you will see the first item is static. So even though if I move like over and show again the first one, it's still static. So because the component is always created from the active one. Just so that you are known about this. Questions on this? And I guess you can imagine that you can do lots of fancy stuff here for animating delegates. If you want to have delegates flying from somewhere, you need to disable clipping of the list view. Yeah.
I'm waiting on a microphone.
Oh, sorry.
What would be the way to also animate the active item, or to avoid? So this is probably not what we want. We want to have all items to be animated.
I agree. So with this strategy, this is not possible. Okay. But in the next GridView example, I can show you how you can do animations on delegates and trigger them from else, from different entries points. But still, it won't fix your use case. Maybe you can think of a way to combine those two. Then I haven't yet.
Okay.
Or maybe anyone else from that has a solution? Yeah, so coming from a list view to a grid view, it's very similar actually, but I just used the grid view here to show you how to animate the adding items. Like if I add items, not scrolling or depending on the lifetime of the item itself, but just if I add items, I want to have it animated, and if they are removed, I also want to have it animated like disappearing. The idea here is, if you click, 3 items gets created. If I right click, just 1 gets deleted. Good. Grid view here. It's a bit bigger, so I have grid view. The model is a list model here, so I can actually add and remove items, as we had in the position example. The delegate is a rectangle, another plate here. And here you see it has a transform. So there I apply a more complex rotation, where I can actually define which axis I want to be animated, and I can also define the origin here by pixel values. Yeah. But as you know, animations can run on any property of any element here. We could just animate one of those parts of in this case, the angle of this plate rotation. So we don't explicitly animate the property of the whole delegate, but some child items here. So I have a sequential animation for add and remove, and I want to trigger those by grid view on add, start, and the same thing here on remove, and there's a remove animation like this. But they are doing nothing, so nothing would happen actually. So here, I would like to change the angle of the plate rotation property here, item here. So I do a number animation. Target is the plate rotation, and property is the angle, and it should go to 0, because at the end we want to have it as we see it, so no rotation at all, just a flat guy. So what we do here is change the default angle to -90, for example. And if I run this now, make it a bit slower so you can actually see them. Like 1 second. So I add, and you see they are falling in like this. Yeah. But if I remove, still there is no animation. And I don't know, some of you guys saw Windows Phone. They have similar plate animations there, but they have a bit more randomness. So here, okay, all 3 coming in at the same time. So we have another animation that actually is just pausing a sequential animation. So I start in the beginning here, a pause animation. I add it here, and it's just taking a duration. So let's give it a duration of, I don't know, math random times 500 milliseconds, like this. Okay, I run. Okay, this is not, so I'll give it more seconds. Actually, much more. No. You see, it's a lot of fun to play around. And yeah, so now it's more randomly. So that is a pause animation. Very useful, very useful. Questions on this so far? Good. Then let's add something for removement. That's a bit trickier because this is triggered directly when the delegates will get deleted. So we have to tell the GridView, stop deleting delegates for now. I run animations of this, and then I say, okay, now you can delete delegates again. So I do a property action. I can actually show you how it looks if we don't do this. Target is the delegate itself. And the property is like scale. And it should go to 0, for example. So I will add some of those. And I do a right click. Just disappears. Because it's get deleted and the animation runs on no target. So I'm already in a sequential animation group, so I do a property action. The target is the GridView itself, which is actually root. And the property is, oh, sorry, I think it's the delegate. We'll see. Because it's an attached property. Have to look up in the help as well. So I go to the GridView help. Search for delete. Okay, remove. Delay remove. Okay, that's the one. It's an attached property. So I need to set, it's a Boolean, I need to set it to true. And I guess that was a, okay. And afterwards we set it to false again. So it actually will be deleted. I save, add some of those, and remove like this. What I display here is the actual index. I remove the first item, and the index gets -1 whenever I delete. So it's marked for deletion, but so the index is immediately -1. Yeah, so if I remove multiple ones have an index of -1. Questions on that? Cool. So we have another view, which is a PathView. PathView itself is already very powerful. I don't know if you already played around with this. So you can define some points, path points. You define the attributes there, and then you can use the values of the attributes throughout the delegate, and Qt will interpolate on a line or a spline there for you. So in the middle, we have some value for the scaling, which is different to the left. That's why the delegates appear bigger. And it's flickable, so if I do like this, it just interpolates the delegates in between. Yeah. So we take a look at the path view. Very nice to play around, but it's also a bit tricky to find the correct path points, especially if you use the path quad here. That has some control points as well. But you can have curves there. So what I have, if you see the whole example, it's a path view that has a model of 10. Okay, create me 10 delegates. There's a mouse area in there. Come to that later. And the delegate is just an image. The source is picked from an array above, depending on the index. So there are 4 items in this array, and it just picked different images. And here you see I use path view icon scale. And the icon scale is something that is a property on a path point. And this one gets interpolated. And the path itself it starts somewhere to the left with some specific attributes. I will have a point in the middle and to the right, also with special properties as well. The path quad has some control X and Y. And what I want to show you here is how you can actually make it more nicer by animating points or attributes of the path points itself. So as you see here, the path it's animated, but the path itself is very static. So I'd like, if I click on something, so you have the mouse area here, I'd like to start this path animation. It's a sequential animation here. It has loops infinite, so it will, as soon as it started, it will just run and run and run. I do a number animation again. The target is here, path point 1, and the property is control Y. If you see here, if you go up, see at the end it's control Y. So it's in the middle, half of the height. I want to have it animated to the top, then to the bottom again, like this. So if you go here, it should go to like 0, and afterwards go back to some value, 300. You can use root height half again. Doesn't matter now. Good. This is sequential one, so could look already good. Let's see. I click. Okay. Well, so it actually animates the path, and you see I can still scroll here. So it will behave the same, but it will change the path itself. Yeah, to make it, I think, a bit nicer using, I don't know, or no, I think you got the point here that could animate now. So we could animate like the right control point as well, so it would go like a wave, for example. You can do this. It's just combining number animations, sequential and parallel animations all together. So this can be very complex, but it's also very powerful to group those animations. Questions on the path view? Or yep.
Is there a way to define the 3D path with Z coordinates?
Not really yet. No, not really yet. You can fake it by scaling and rotation, if you'd like, but it's not there.
Okay, so no 3D curves as well.
No 3D. It's just 2D.
In the previous Qt graphics animation framework, there was a way to define blur. Will it be possible to animate blur as a property in PathView?
Blur will only perform if you use shaders.
Okay.
So if it's a static element, you can already do this with Qt Quick 1, but only on static elements. So for the path, it's a bit tricky because it's a dynamic thing. This will be possible with the scene graph then. Okay. Qt 5. And see if this is a bit nice. Anyway. Yeah. Just play around with this. Really fun. Cool. So we had fading, scaling, rotation, color, positioners, ListView, GridView, and PathView. And I'll just show you another thing, which is particles. It can really distract if you put it into your user interface. But maybe you can add some highlighting, like what is the current element in a list, for example, or in a menu. You can shoot some particles every second, just to give it a bit of a highlight. Or if you want to focus, okay, this is your next action on the user interface, shoot some particles in this direction. Yeah, so you should all focus on the top left corner now. So all particles are going there. There's an emitter source in the middle, and I have an attraction point, which is top left. The code for this is, okay, it's basically the particle here. It has lots of properties you can play around. I won't go into detail about those, but what you can see here, the particle is a PNG file. It has some emission rate, so it will always emit 5 particles, so we don't have just, you see 5 particles around that. And then for opacity, a lifespan, something like this. You have to play around with this. And there is the attraction point, which is 0, 0, top left corner. And what I just want to show you is how you can interact with particles as well. So we have a mouse area where hover is enabled, and I'd like to let the particles go into the mouse direction. So now I have one position changed. And here I set x attractor is mouse x coordinate, and the same for y. Load this, and yeah, the particles will try to follow the mouse like this. Yeah, let's burst more particles. So particles burst because 5 are not enough anymore. So every time I do a mouse position change, I fire out 10 particles more. It's the burst. So when the mouse does nothing, just 5 particles. Whenever I move, it really, it's like this. Yeah. It's fun. The current particle engine is not, it has not too much features, but in the next SceneGraph version we will have a very nice particle engine. But already this works very nice. So I guess designers can find some use cases that helps to make the UI better. Let's see. Maybe not. Cool. This is a good use case. Yeah, highlight what we've already talked about. Yeah. So we're done with all the animations. And so just about a bit about future. There are other talks as well about Qt 5. I just want to show you, I mean, you all know we have SceneGraphs there. So we rely heavily on OpenGL. We can use shaders, as I said. So you can have shader effects on dynamic items, which is not possible currently, or it doesn't perform really good currently. And yeah, but still, not if you would like to start, just start with what we have now, and just as soon as we have Qt 5 and Qt Quick 2.0, just add more stuff then, because most of the stuff will work as well in Qt 2 as again. Like with the Qt Media Hub you see in our demo booth, we had the current skin, which is QML based, is just Qt Quick 1, and it took Donald like, I don't know, half a day to port the whole skin to Qt Quick 2 on SceneGraph. So yes, just go ahead and write your user interface now, and you will just profit if SceneGraph will be there, performance will be better, and you have more effects as well. That's basically from my side. You have more questions? Yeah.
I had a question concerning the ListView. We saw we could have some, there are some signals when items are added or added or removed, and we can also play with when the elements are instantiated. The abstract, the QAbstract item model also provides reordering of elements. Is there any way to play on this, to have elements which are visually animated while they're being reordered?
No, not really. Like, it's very hard, but you can do behavior on the position, for example, and the position obviously will change. But now, I'm sorry, no, that was the problem is here that if you change the model, you will generate the new delegate and delete the old one.
Oh, it's not okay.
Yeah.
It's a new instantiation.
Yeah.
Okay, but any thoughts? I mean, a very simple simple use case is you have, say, a chat application and a contact becomes online, and so it moves to the top of the list or something like that. Is there any off the top of your head?
I saw some the application is doing that by creating or cloning this delegate, basically. Remove it from the list, but the clone is still there. Move the clone, and then to the position where the new item should be, and then let the clone fade out and the new one fade in, or something like that. It's not very nice, but it's doable.
Okay, thank you.
Just this little thing that you have there, the blurred out stars. Are they just blurred out stars as an image?
Yes.
Okay.
Just faking it. It's actually, this is 3 particle effects with different images that are differently blurred in GIMP.
Is it something that one could do in OpenGL in the next version?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like
we do it totally different.
Select the next layer or the what's the word?
Our new particle engine will have some functionality that makes that happen.
Okay, thanks.
Good, thank you. I hope you enjoyed it.